Imagine uncovering a letter that offers a deeply personal and intimate portrayal of one of history's most significant figures, Jesus Christ. This is the premise of the fascinating story of Joseph of Arimathea, a figure shrouded in both reverence and mystery. Renowned as a member of the Sanhedrin who risked everything to ensure the proper burial of Jesus, Joseph's legacy extends far beyond his biblical mention. In this video, we'll dive into his extraordinary journey, the mysterious letter attributed to him, and the unparalleled insights it provides into the life, personality, and divinity of Christ. What secrets does this ancient document hold? Why has it remained hidden from the mainstream narrative? And most importantly, how can this account enrich your spiritual journey and understanding of faith today? Stay tuned as we explore 15 compelling aspects of this narrative, blending history, faith, and spiritual reflection into one transformative journey. Joseph of Arimathea is one of the Bible's most compelling yet understated characters. A wealthy member of the Jewish Sanhedrin, Joseph defied societal norms by openly aligning himself with Jesus in a time of great persecution. This act of courage highlights his profound faith and reverence for Christ, marking him as a man of conviction in a tumultuous era. While his name is mentioned only briefly in the Gospels, his impact is deeply significant, inspiring Christians to live boldly in their faith. The city of Arimathea, Joseph's origin, remains an unsolved historical puzzle. Despite its unclear geographical location, Joseph's legacy transcends these uncertainties, focusing instead on his moral and spiritual courage. Offering his own tomb for Jesus' burial was an act of ultimate devotion, signaling not only his faith but also his rejection of fear and societal pressures. What makes Joseph even more fascinating is his dual role as a secret follower of Jesus and a respected religious leader. Balancing these identities in a politically charged environment required exceptional bravery. His decision to approach Pilate for Jesus' body was an unprecedented risk, one that could have led to severe personal repercussions. Yet, Joseph prioritized his faith over his safety, a decision that resonates with timeless spiritual significance. Legends surrounding Joseph amplify his mystique. In Christian folklore, he is linked to the Holy Grail, the sacred cup used by Christ at the Last Supper. While these tales are symbolic and likely not historical, they highlight the spiritual depth associated with Joseph's character and actions. He symbolizes unwavering faith, even in the face of profound challenges. Joseph's courage serves as a reminder of the cost of true discipleship. In a world that often prioritizes conformity and comfort, his story challenges believers to stand firm in their convictions. His life illustrates the power of faith to transcend fear, societal norms, and personal risk, encouraging others to live boldly in their beliefs. The significance of Joseph's actions extends beyond history into spiritual reflection. His role in ensuring Jesus' burial emphasizes the human aspect of the divine narrative, connecting followers to the tangible, emotional realities of Christ's final moments. This connection deepens the understanding of Jesus' sacrifice and its implications for humanity. Joseph of Arimathea represents more than a historical figure. He embodies the essence of faith lived out through action. His story serves as an enduring inspiration for those who seek to balance their spiritual commitments with the demands of everyday life. Through his example, believers are reminded that courage and faith are inseparable, forming the foundation of a transformative relationship with Christ. Joseph of Arimathea's life unfolded in a politically and religiously volatile era. The Roman occupation of Judea created immense tension, particularly among the Jewish leaders who struggled to maintain their authority under Roman oversight. Against this backdrop, Joseph's status as a Sanhedrin member carried significant weight, making his public support for Jesus all the more remarkable. It was not only a religious act but a bold political statement in a climate of fear and suspicion. The Sanhedrin, the Jewish ruling council, played a central role in the events leading to Jesus' crucifixion. As one of its members, Joseph would have been privy to the intense debates and decisions surrounding Jesus' trial. The Gospels describe him as a dissenting voice, one who did not agree with the council's condemnation of Christ. This opposition highlights his spiritual discernment and courage, setting him apart from his peers. Joseph's request to Pilate for Jesus' body was a daring move. Normally, crucified individuals were denied proper burial, a fate intended to shame and degrade them even in death. By intervening, Joseph risked not only his reputation but also his position within the Sanhedrin and the Jewish community. His actions underscored a profound sense of duty, love, and reverence for Jesus, transcending societal expectations. The burial of Jesus in Joseph's own tomb is steeped in symbolism. In Jewish tradition, burial practices were sacred, reflecting deep respect for the deceased. By offering his family tomb, Joseph not only ensured Jesus was honored but also fulfilled prophetic scriptures regarding the Messiah's burial. This act linked Joseph's personal sacrifice to the divine narrative of redemption, further amplifying his significance. Historically, Joseph's courage stands out as an anomaly among the religious elite. While many sought to distance themselves from Jesus, fearing Roman retaliation or loss of status, Joseph's decision to align himself with Christ speaks volumes about his character. His actions challenge the tendency to compromise faith for convenience, urging believers to remain steadfast in their convictions. The Roman perspective on Joseph's actions adds another layer of complexity. Pilate, weary from political unrest, might have granted Joseph's request to avoid further tensions. Yet, the decision to release Jesus' body was unprecedented, suggesting that Joseph's influence and standing were undeniable. This interplay of political and spiritual dynamics highlights the intricacy of Joseph's role in the crucifixion narrative. Joseph's historical context offers invaluable lessons about navigating faith amidst adversity. His story serves as a testament to the enduring power of conviction, reminding modern believers that faith often requires bold action. In a world where compromise is easy, Joseph's unwavering stand for Christ is a profound example of living a life rooted in spiritual truth. One of the most intriguing aspects of Joseph of Arimathea's legacy is the letter attributed to him. This ancient text, preserved in fragments of apocryphal manuscripts, provides a rare and intimate description of Jesus. While not included in the biblical canon, the letter offers a unique perspective that complements the Gospels, shedding light on Christ's personality, appearance, and transformative presence. The origins of the letter are shrouded in mystery. Scholars debate whether it was directly authored by Joseph or if it represents an oral tradition later transcribed by early Christians. Regardless of its authorship, the letter's content captures a deeply personal and spiritual view of Jesus, emphasizing his humanity alongside his divinity. This dual portrayal resonates deeply with those seeking a more holistic understanding of Christ. The letter describes Jesus as a figure of unparalleled compassion and wisdom. Joseph writes of his calm demeanor, gentle authority, and the profound impact he had on those around him. He recalls a man whose words penetrated the heart, whose presence brought peace, and whose gaze seemed to touch the soul. These descriptions elevate Jesus beyond theological constructs, presenting him as a deeply relatable and transformative figure. One particularly striking passage describes Jesus' voice as being like a river that flows softly yet powerfully. This poetic imagery encapsulates the dual nature of Jesus' teachings, simple yet profound, gentle yet commanding. Such insights remind readers that Christ's message was not only intellectual but also deeply emotional, capable of reaching the core of human experience. The letter also emphasizes Jesus' physical presence. Joseph describes his face as serene and marked by compassion, his posture humble yet purposeful. This attention to detail humanizes Jesus, making his divinity even more accessible. By portraying him as a man who walked among people with empathy and love, the letter invites readers to see Christ as both a savior and a companion. Despite its spiritual richness, the letter has remained relatively obscure. Some believe this is due to its exclusion from the biblical canon, while others suggest it may have been deliberately suppressed. Whatever the reason, its content continues to captivate those who encounter it, offering a deeply personal glimpse into the life of Jesus. This mysterious letter challenges modern believers to rethink their perception of Christ. It invites them to move beyond distant, idealized images and instead embrace a Jesus who is intimately connected to humanity. By exploring this text, readers are reminded that faith is not just about doctrine but about relationship, a transformative connection with the divine. Joseph's letter paints a vivid picture of Jesus' humanity, offering insights that deepen our understanding of his character. Unlike traditional portrayals that emphasize his divinity, this account focuses on his emotional and relational qualities, presenting a Christ who was profoundly empathetic and deeply in tune with the human experience. The letter describes Jesus as a man who radiated compassion. Joseph recounts how he seemed to see beyond appearances, understanding the pain and struggles of those around him. His ability to connect with people on such a profound level highlights his unique role as both teacher and healer, bridging the gap between the divine and the everyday. One of the most compelling aspects of the letter is its portrayal of Jesus' humility. Despite his divine wisdom, he carried himself with a simplicity that inspired trust and admiration. Joseph recalls how his presence was never intimidating but always welcoming, making even the most marginalized feel valued and understood. This humility is a powerful reminder of the strength found in gentleness. Jesus' interactions with others, as described in the letter, reveal his profound emotional intelligence. He spoke with authority yet never with arrogance, offering guidance that resonated deeply with his listeners. Joseph writes of a man whose words were not only wise but also filled with love, capable of healing even the most wounded hearts. This ability to connect emotionally underscores Jesus' role as a spiritual guide. The letter also captures the physical toll of Jesus' ministry. Joseph describes him as a man who bore the weight of the world with quiet strength. He acknowledges Jesus' moments of fatigue and sadness, emphasizing that his humanity was not a weakness but a testament to his endurance. This portrayal invites believers to find strength in their own vulnerabilities, following Jesus' example of perseverance. Perhaps most striking is the description of Jesus' gaze. Joseph writes that his eyes carried a light that could calm even the most troubled heart. This imagery conveys a sense of peace and hope, illustrating the transformative power of Jesus' presence. For Joseph, this light was a reflection of both his humanity and his divinity, a perfect harmony that left an indelible mark. Through Joseph's eyes, we see a Christ who was not only a savior but also a companion. His humanity becomes a bridge to understanding his divinity, making him relatable and accessible to all. This perspective challenges modern believers to embrace the fullness of Jesus' character, finding inspiration in his love, humility, and compassion. Joseph's letter places significant emphasis on the power of Jesus' words. Unlike ordinary speech, his teachings carried a depth and authority that left listeners profoundly changed. Joseph recounts how even the simplest phrases from Jesus had the power to resonate for days, planting seeds of transformation in the hearts of his followers. One of the hallmarks of Jesus' words, as described in the letter, was their simplicity. He spoke in terms that anyone could understand, yet his teachings contained layers of meaning that unfolded over time. This ability to communicate profound truths in an accessible way made his message universal, reaching both the educated and the unlearned with equal impact. Joseph highlights the emotional impact of Jesus' words. He recalls how they could disarm even the most hardened hearts, bringing comfort to the suffering and clarity to the confused. His teachings were not merely intellectual exercises but deeply spiritual encounters, awakening hope and faith in those who heard them. The letter also emphasizes the timeless relevance of Jesus' teachings. Joseph describes how his words spoke directly to the human condition, addressing universal struggles like fear, doubt, and despair. This timeless quality ensured that his message transcended cultural and historical boundaries, remaining as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. Jesus' ability to teach with authority was another defining feature. Joseph writes of how he spoke as someone who truly understood the kingdom of God, offering insights that challenged conventional wisdom. His words carried an authenticity that left no room for doubt, inspiring trust and faith in his listeners. The power of Jesus' words lay not only in their content but also in the way he delivered them. Joseph describes his tone as gentle yet firm, filled with compassion and conviction. This balance allowed him to connect with people on a personal level while also challenging them to grow spiritually. Joseph's reflections on Jesus' words challenge modern believers to listen more closely to the teachings of Christ. They serve as a reminder that his message is not just historical but deeply personal, offering guidance and inspiration for navigating life's challenges. By embracing his words, believers can experience the same transformative power that Joseph witnessed. Joseph's letter vividly captures the emotional impact of being in Jesus' presence. He describes how simply being near Christ could bring a sense of peace and hope that was almost tangible. This profound connection transcended words, leaving an indelible mark on everyone who encountered him. One of the key themes in the letter is the sense of comfort Jesus brought. Joseph recalls how his presence could lighten even the heaviest burdens, offering solace to the weary and broken-hearted. This ability to bring comfort was not limited to his words but extended to his very being, reflecting a deep well of compassion. The transformative power of Jesus' presence is another recurring theme. Joseph writes of how those who met him often left feeling renewed and inspired. His energy and spirituality were almost palpable, creating an atmosphere where change felt not only possible but inevitable. This impact was both emotional and spiritual, touching people at their core. Joseph also describes the unique way Jesus connected with individuals. He writes of a man who seemed to see beyond the surface, understanding the deepest needs and struggles of each person. This ability to connect on such an intimate level made every encounter with Jesus deeply personal, leaving a lasting impression. The letter emphasizes the balance Jesus struck between authority and approachability. While he inspired awe and reverence, he was never distant or unapproachable. Joseph recalls how he welcomed everyone, from the marginalized to the influential, creating a sense of belonging that transcended social barriers. Jesus' presence also had a unifying effect. Joseph describes how people from diverse backgrounds came together in his presence, finding common ground in their shared experiences of his love and wisdom. This unity was a testament to his ability to break down barriers and foster genuine connection. Perhaps most striking is Joseph's description of the hope Jesus inspired. He writes of how even in the darkest moments, being near Christ made it possible to believe in a brighter future. This hope was not just theoretical but deeply felt, transforming despair into faith and courage. Through Joseph's eyes, we see a Christ whose presence was profoundly emotional and transformative. His ability to connect, comfort, and inspire serves as a powerful reminder of the impact he continues to have on those who seek him. For modern believers, this portrayal invites a deeper understanding of what it means to experience the presence of Christ in their own lives. Take a moment to reflect. What does following Jesus truly mean to you? If you're seeking a deeper connection, hope in challenging times, or the strength to walk in faith, join us on this journey. Subscribe now, not just to a channel, but to a path that brings you closer to His love, His truth, and His light. Let's grow together as we follow Jesus. Joseph of Arimathea's letter places a profound emphasis on the compassion of Jesus, portraying him as a man deeply attuned to the struggles of those around him. This quality, more than anything, distinguished him from other teachers and leaders of his time. Through his actions and words, Jesus embodied the essence of love, not as a distant ideal but as a lived reality. Joseph describes how Jesus could perceive pain and suffering without anyone uttering a word. His gaze, Joseph recounts, seemed to penetrate the surface, reaching into the hearts of those who were broken or weary. This ability to empathize so deeply set Jesus apart and made his presence both comforting and transformative. The letter recounts instances where Jesus went beyond societal norms to show compassion. Whether healing the sick, feeding the hungry, or forgiving the outcasts, his actions demonstrated an unyielding commitment to love in the face of rejection and scorn. For Joseph, these moments were not just acts of kindness but reflections of divine grace. Joseph highlights Jesus' willingness to bear the burdens of others. He describes how Jesus often prioritized the needs of those around him, even at great personal cost. This selflessness resonated deeply with Joseph, who saw it as the ultimate expression of God's love manifested in human form. The compassion of Jesus was not limited to grand gestures but extended to the smallest, most intimate moments. Joseph writes of how a simple touch or a few words from Jesus could bring comfort to those in despair. These subtle yet profound acts of love underscored his understanding of the human condition. Joseph's reflections challenge readers to embody this same compassion in their own lives. The example of Jesus serves as a guide for how to engage with others, with empathy, kindness, and a willingness to serve. It is a reminder that true greatness lies in humility and love. Through Joseph's eyes, we are reminded that compassion is at the heart of Jesus' ministry. His ability to connect with and uplift those around him speaks to the transformative power of love, encouraging believers to reflect this same grace in their interactions with others. Joseph's letter offers a rare glimpse into the humility that defined Jesus' leadership. Unlike the rulers and teachers of his time, who often sought power and recognition, Jesus exemplified a different kind of authority, one rooted in service and selflessness. This humility, Joseph notes, was not a sign of weakness but a reflection of true strength. Jesus' interactions with others were marked by an absence of arrogance. Joseph writes of a leader who never placed himself above those he served. Whether speaking to crowds or engaging with individuals, Jesus treated everyone with dignity and respect, creating a sense of equality that was revolutionary for his time. Joseph describes how Jesus rejected the trappings of worldly power. Despite his ability to command attention and draw followers, he chose a life of simplicity. His focus was never on wealth, status, or influence but on fulfilling his divine mission. This choice highlighted his priorities and set an example for others to follow. One of the most striking aspects of Jesus' humility, as recounted by Joseph, was his willingness to learn from and listen to others. While he spoke with authority, he also demonstrated a deep respect for the experiences and insights of those around him. This balance of confidence and openness made his leadership uniquely impactful. Joseph also reflects on the humility Jesus displayed in his suffering. He endured rejection, betrayal, and immense physical pain without bitterness or resentment. Instead, he responded with forgiveness and love, showing that humility is not just a virtue in times of peace but a source of strength in adversity. The humility of Jesus challenges contemporary notions of leadership. In a world that often equates authority with dominance, his example offers an alternative path, one that prioritizes service, compassion, and integrity. For Joseph, this approach to leadership was both inspiring and transformative. Through Joseph's account, believers are invited to reflect on their own approach to leadership and service. Jesus' humility serves as a model for how to lead with love, guide with empathy, and inspire through action. It is a reminder that true leadership is not about elevating oneself but about uplifting others. One of the most memorable details in Joseph's letter is his description of the light in Jesus' eyes. This light, Joseph writes, was not merely a physical attribute but a reflection of something deeper, a divine presence that radiated peace, hope, and love. It was a light that seemed to touch the very soul of those who met him. Joseph recounts how this light had a calming effect on even the most troubled hearts. In moments of despair, a single glance from Jesus could inspire hope and courage. For Joseph, this was more than a comforting presence. It was a tangible expression of God's love, made visible through Christ. The light in Jesus' eyes also symbolized his clarity of purpose. Joseph describes how Jesus carried himself with a sense of mission that was unmistakable. This unwavering focus was evident in his gaze, which conveyed both compassion and determination. It was a reminder of the profound connection between his humanity and his divinity. Joseph's reflections highlight the emotional impact of this light. He writes of how it drew people to Jesus, creating an immediate sense of trust and belonging. For many, this connection was the first step in their journey of faith, as they saw in Jesus a reflection of the divine. The light in Jesus' eyes also serves as a metaphor for his teachings. Just as his gaze illuminated the hearts of those around him, his words brought clarity and understanding to their lives. Joseph describes how this light seemed to guide people toward a deeper truth, revealing the path to God. Through this description, Joseph invites readers to consider the ways in which they can reflect the light of Christ in their own lives. By embodying his love, compassion, and purpose, believers can become beacons of hope and inspiration for others, just as Jesus was for Joseph. This portrayal of the light in Jesus' eyes is a powerful reminder of his transformative presence. It challenges believers to look beyond physical appearances and see the divine in themselves and others, fostering a deeper connection to their faith and their community. Joseph of Arimathea's letter highlights Jesus' courage, particularly in the face of adversity. This courage was not merely physical but deeply spiritual, rooted in his unwavering commitment to his mission and his faith in God. For Joseph, this strength was one of Jesus' most remarkable qualities, inspiring awe and reverence among those who followed him. Jesus faced countless challenges during his ministry: rejection, betrayal, and even the threat of death. Yet, Joseph recalls how he never wavered in his purpose. His resolve was evident in his words and actions, as he continued to preach love and forgiveness even when met with hostility. This resilience was a testament to his divine nature and his profound trust in God's plan. Joseph reflects on the emotional toll these challenges must have taken on Jesus. He describes a man who carried the weight of the world's sins, yet did so with grace and humility. This ability to endure suffering without losing compassion is a powerful reminder of Jesus' strength and selflessness. One of the most poignant moments described by Joseph is Jesus' response to his crucifixion. Despite the physical agony and the mockery of the crowd, Jesus remained steadfast in his love for humanity. Joseph writes of how his eyes, even in his final moments, reflected mercy rather than hatred, a profound example of courage in the face of ultimate suffering. The courage of Jesus extended beyond his own trials to the way he empowered others. Joseph recalls how Jesus inspired his followers to stand firm in their faith, even when it was difficult or dangerous. His teachings and example gave them the strength to persevere, planting the seeds of a movement that would transform the world. For Joseph, Jesus' courage was not about the absence of fear but the ability to overcome it through faith. This distinction is crucial, as it reminds believers that true courage comes from trusting in God's guidance, even when the path is uncertain or painful. This portrayal challenges modern believers to embody the same courage in their own lives. Whether facing personal struggles or standing up for their faith, they are called to draw inspiration from Jesus' example, finding strength in his unwavering love and determination. Joseph of Arimathea's letter offers a vivid account of Jesus' ability to heal, not only physical ailments but also emotional and spiritual wounds. This healing power, Joseph writes, was a reflection of his deep compassion and his divine connection to God. It was one of the most tangible ways in which Jesus revealed his love for humanity. Joseph describes how Jesus approached healing with a profound sense of empathy. He did not see people as problems to be solved but as individuals deserving of care and dignity. Whether touching the untouchable or speaking words of comfort to the grieving, his actions conveyed a love that transcended societal boundaries. The letter recounts specific moments of healing that left a lasting impression on Joseph. He describes witnessing Jesus restore sight to the blind, mobility to the paralyzed, and hope to the despairing. These miracles were not just physical transformations but also spiritual awakenings, as they often led people to a deeper faith. Joseph reflects on how Jesus' healing extended to those who were socially or emotionally broken. He writes of how Jesus reached out to the marginalized, the sinners, the outcasts, and the forgotten, and offered them acceptance and redemption. This inclusive approach challenged societal norms and revealed the boundless nature of God's love. The healing power of Jesus was not limited to dramatic miracles. Joseph describes how even his words and presence had a soothing effect on those in pain. A simple phrase or a compassionate glance could lift burdens and restore hope, demonstrating the depth of his connection to the human heart. For Joseph, these acts of healing were more than demonstrations of power, they were glimpses of the kingdom of God. They showed that Jesus' mission was not just about teaching or preaching but about bringing wholeness and restoration to a broken world. This portrayal invites believers to reflect on how they can embody Jesus' healing spirit in their own lives. By offering kindness, understanding, and support to those in need, they can become instruments of God's love, continuing the legacy of healing that Jesus began. One of the most striking aspects of Joseph's letter is its focus on Jesus' role as a teacher. Joseph describes how Jesus' teachings were not only profound but also timeless, addressing the deepest questions of human existence in a way that continues to resonate across generations. Joseph recounts how Jesus taught with simplicity and clarity, making complex spiritual truths accessible to everyone. He used parables and everyday examples to convey profound lessons, bridging the gap between the divine and the human. This approach allowed people from all walks of life to engage with his message. The letter emphasizes the authority with which Jesus spoke. Joseph writes of how his words carried a weight that silenced skeptics and inspired believers. Unlike other teachers of his time, who relied on tradition or status, Jesus' authority came from his intimate knowledge of God and his unwavering commitment to truth. Joseph reflects on the transformative impact of Jesus' teachings. He recalls how even those who initially resisted his message often found themselves changed after hearing him speak. His words had a way of penetrating the heart, challenging people to rethink their priorities and align their lives with God's will. One of the hallmarks of Jesus' teaching, as described by Joseph, was its emphasis on love and forgiveness. He spoke of loving one's enemies, turning the other cheek, and extending grace to others. These teachings were revolutionary in their time and remain deeply challenging and inspiring today. The letter also highlights Jesus' ability to connect his teachings to everyday life. Joseph describes how he addressed practical concerns, such as how to treat others, manage resources, and approach prayer, while always pointing back to the broader spiritual truths. This balance of practicality and spirituality made his message both relatable and transformative. For Joseph, Jesus' teachings were not just lessons to be learned but a way of life to be embraced. He saw in Jesus a model of how to live with integrity, compassion, and purpose, inspiring others to follow in his footsteps. This portrayal challenges believers to engage more deeply with Jesus' teachings. It encourages them to not only study his words but also apply them in their daily lives, allowing his timeless truths to shape their thoughts, actions, and relationships. Joseph of Arimathea's letter offers a powerful account of Jesus' capacity to forgive, a quality that set him apart as both human and divine. For Joseph, this forgiveness was more than a moral virtue, it was a transformative force that revealed the depth of Jesus' love and his commitment to God's mission of reconciliation. Joseph describes how Jesus extended forgiveness even in the most unimaginable circumstances. On the cross, in the face of excruciating pain and humiliation, Jesus prayed for his persecutors, saying, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." For Joseph, this moment exemplified the boundless mercy that defined Jesus' character. Forgiveness, as Jesus taught and practiced it, was not merely about absolving wrongdoing. Joseph recounts how Jesus used forgiveness to restore relationships and heal broken hearts. His willingness to forgive sinners, including tax collectors and adulterers, demonstrated his belief in the potential for redemption in every individual. The letter reflects on the impact of this forgiveness on those who received it. Joseph describes how people who encountered Jesus often left with a renewed sense of purpose and a deeper connection to God. This forgiveness was a gift that freed them from shame and empowered them to live in alignment with divine truth. Joseph also notes the challenge of embracing Jesus' call to forgive others. He writes of how Jesus encouraged his followers to extend the same mercy they had received, even to their enemies. This radical approach to forgiveness was a cornerstone of his teachings and a powerful testament to his transformative vision of love. The forgiveness Jesus offered was deeply rooted in his understanding of human frailty. Joseph describes how Jesus viewed sin not as a reason for condemnation but as an opportunity for grace. This perspective invited people to see themselves and others through the lens of God's mercy, fostering a spirit of compassion and humility. For modern believers, Joseph's reflections on Jesus' forgiveness serve as a reminder of the importance of extending grace in their own lives. By following Jesus' example, they can break cycles of resentment, foster reconciliation, and embody the love that lies at the heart of the gospel. The core of Joseph's letter is the profound theme of sacrificial love, exemplified by Jesus' life and death. For Joseph, this love was not an abstract concept but a lived reality that defined Jesus' ministry and culminated in his ultimate act of self-giving on the cross. Joseph recounts how Jesus consistently put the needs of others before his own. Whether healing the sick, feeding the hungry, or comforting the grieving, his actions demonstrated an unwavering commitment to serving humanity. This selflessness was a reflection of the divine love that motivated everything he did. The letter emphasizes the personal cost of this sacrificial love. Joseph describes how Jesus endured rejection, betrayal, and physical suffering, yet never wavered in his mission. His willingness to bear these burdens was a testament to the depth of his compassion and his dedication to fulfilling God's will. Joseph reflects on the crucifixion as the ultimate expression of Jesus' love. He writes of how Jesus willingly embraced the cross, not as a victim but as a savior. This act of self-sacrifice was not only an atonement for sin but also a demonstration of the lengths to which God's love would go to redeem humanity. The letter also highlights the transformative power of this sacrificial love. Joseph describes how Jesus' willingness to give everything for others inspired those around him to live with greater faith and courage. His example challenged them to embrace a love that was not conditional but boundless and self-giving. For Joseph, this love was deeply personal. He reflects on how Jesus' sacrifice changed his own life, moving him to act with greater conviction and faith. This personal connection to Jesus' love underscores the relational aspect of his ministry, which sought to draw people closer to God and one another. Sacrificial love, as Joseph describes it, is a call to action for all believers. It invites them to reflect on how they can embody this love in their own lives, putting the needs of others before their own and living in a way that reflects the selflessness of Christ. Through Joseph's eyes, we are reminded that Jesus' love was not only sacrificial but also redemptive, offering hope and healing to a broken world. This love challenges believers to live with greater purpose, aligning their lives with the example of Christ. Joseph of Arimathea's letter is more than a historical or spiritual artifact. It is a testament to the enduring impact of Jesus' life and teachings. For Joseph, writing this account was not just an act of reflection but a way to share the transformative experience of knowing Christ with others. The letter captures the depth of Joseph's faith, forged through his encounters with Jesus. It reflects a man who was deeply moved by Jesus' compassion, teachings, and sacrificial love. This faith inspired Joseph to take bold actions, from offering his tomb for Jesus' burial to preserving this intimate testimony for future generations. Joseph's reflections invite readers to see Jesus not as a distant figure but as someone profoundly connected to their lives. By sharing his personal experiences, he bridges the gap between history and faith, allowing modern believers to encounter Jesus in a deeply personal and relatable way. The letter also challenges readers to consider their own response to Jesus. Joseph's testimony serves as a call to action, encouraging believers to live with greater courage, compassion, and conviction. It reminds them that faith is not just about belief but about how that belief is lived out in daily life. For Joseph, preserving this account was a way of ensuring that Jesus' legacy would continue to inspire and transform lives. His letter is a reminder that the story of Christ is not confined to the past but continues to unfold in the lives of those who follow him. The enduring impact of Joseph's testimony lies in its ability to speak across time and culture. Whether through his reflections on Jesus' teachings, his descriptions of Christ's humanity and divinity, or his own acts of faith, Joseph's account offers a window into the heart of the gospel. Through Joseph's eyes, we are invited to see Jesus anew, to recognize his transformative presence in our lives and to respond with the same love and faith that inspired Joseph. His testimony is a reminder that the story of Jesus is not just history but a living truth that continues to shape and guide us today. As we reflect on the life and testimony of Joseph of Arimathea, we are reminded of the extraordinary impact Jesus had on those who encountered him. His compassion, humility, courage, and sacrificial love transformed not only Joseph's life but the lives of countless others throughout history. These qualities invite us to go beyond mere admiration and take an active step in our own faith journeys. If Joseph's testimony inspires one thing, it's this: following Jesus is not just a historical reflection, it's a personal calling. Just as Joseph gave everything to honor Christ, you too are invited to embrace his teachings, live with courage, and reflect his love in your daily life. Don't let this invitation pass you by. Now is the time to reconnect with your faith, strengthen your relationship with Jesus, and let his transformative power work through you. If this message touched your heart, take action today. Subscribe to this channel and join our growing community of believers seeking to follow Jesus more closely. By doing so, you're not just supporting this work, you're making a commitment to your own spiritual growth. Together, we can explore more stories like Joseph's and continue to uncover the richness of God's Word. Hi, I'm Josue, and it has been an honor to share this journey with you today. This channel is more than a space for teaching, it's a family, a community where we walk together in faith. Remember, You are not alone in your search for truth and purpose. Jesus is here, waiting for you to take that step closer to Him. So, before we close, let me say this. If you're ready to embrace a deeper connection with Christ, subscribe to this channel and be part of this movement of faith. Together, let's walk the path that Joseph of Arimathea followed, the path of courage, love, and unshakable devotion to Jesus. Thank you for joining me, Josue, on this journey of faith. I look forward to seeing you in the next video as we continue to explore stories that inspire, challenge, and transform. May God bless you richly, and may His peace fill your heart. Until next time, take care, stay strong in your faith, and remember, Jesus is always with you. See you soon.